Hey everybody, welcome to the Pancake Podcast. I'm your host as always, Chad. This is my co-host TF. How you doing tonight, TF? Even though I already asked you once in an attempt to record this podcast, that we went about 10 minutes talking. I didn't actually record, and been having a lot of frustration since then. About 10, 20 minutes of messing with stuff and programs and getting on the phone. That's why I sound different right now. I'm on the phone, and a lot of frustration. But aside from that, how you doing tonight, TF?
I'm doing good, 2003, Chad. How are you doing? Well, I guess you already told me, but...
I'm doing about as well as I'm going to right now. It's weird talking to you guys actually on the phone.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the phone too, but...
Yeah.
Everyone with me is on the phone. I'm old school. I'm old school. I'm on the laptop. I'm the real 2003 on the laptop.
At least we know this is going to record.
Yeah, honestly, this is a more reliable method than the traditional ways. So.
Got to figure something out for the future, but this is going to work for tonight. But yeah, we were just spent 10 minutes talking about how it's been like a month since we've done the podcast, and I basically spent a long time saying that I did nothing, and Joe pretty much did the same thing.
So I don't. How should we?
So you don't want to talk about your grocery shopping experience again, Chad? I take it.
No, I spent about 5 minutes talking about grocery shopping. Spent about
your low sleep.
Yep, about going 32 hours without sleep, and you can't really make that conversation happen again without sounding forced. So I went 32 hours without sleep, and Joe went to a place called Lachlan and gambled.
Lachlan.
Is that an Air Force base? Which one Air Force base?
Well, I'm just going off my mom's name, McLaughlin, so...
You're probably saying traditional, old world way.
What?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's some kind of an Irish thing or something. I don't know.
From Ireland.
Do we?
Figured,
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go first.
I kind of just figured it was the same way with the town, the city or whatever it is, Lachlan. I guess it's Lachlan?
Yeah.
That's how they say it there.
Oh, well, I don't know. Joe went there and we talked about it for a while.
There wasn't much to talk about. It was just basically your standard trip. Did remind me that St. Patrick's Day is Friday, though.
Yes. Even though I'm Irish, I never really celebrate it. I don't drink, so what am I going to do?
Here, OTF is gone. We had to lose someone. I'm sorry.
This is what happens.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but this is just ridiculous.
It's nothing new for us, though. It really isn't.
It is. That's why I'm laughing, because it's at some point, you're just used to it. You just know what's going to happen.
Well...
Welcome to the two-man Pancake Boat Podcast. His phone battery may have died, so maybe with LTF.
Yeah, I would say this is a new thing, but if you listen back to our first year doing podcasts, a lot of stuff like this happens.
Hello?
It was pretty much I think it's been happening even when we do it lately. We've had issues then too with recording.
We've had issues forever.
Hello?
I don't...
Trying to get him back in here.
Are we still recording? Are we still on the air?
We're still recording, man.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. Our loyal listeners out there.
Mine, so I don't know what's going on.
I heard the sound. I don't know if he's in here.
I'm losing my mind, guys. There he is.
That's not new. TF is back.
You there, buddy?
I have no idea what just happened.
This is what happens when we sit down to do a podcast, and it's always been this way. It's just always been this way.
I don't even know what the last thing you heard from me was, but...
I don't know. We were just talking, and you suddenly disappeared.
You're talking about St. Patrick's Day, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am Irish, and I never really do anything to celebrate it. I don't drink, so what am I going to do? I wear my Green Arrow shirt. That's about it.
Do you get pinched? Have you ever been pinched, I should say?
Never been pinched, no.
I guess you've always worn green, or just if you're talented. Oh, okay.
Last year I wore my Green Arrow shirt. Probably going to do that again this year.
There you go.
Green. Do you wear green?
I feel like I did when I was a kid, but then as I got old like school, I never did. I don't think I got pinched either, thankfully. Probably from my family, like maybe my sister doing it jokingly, like you're not wearing green, but not really like anyone at school or anything.
No respect for my people, Joe.
It's more so I didn't really have much. I don't really wear much green, truthfully. Like
I don't either, honestly.
Like now I have a light green shirt that I use for haircuts, or it's basically a shirt I got for Easter because it's kind of like a light colored shirt. So.
What about you, TF? You wear green on St. Patrick's Day?
If I have, it probably has been by accident or just a coincidence because I never really like celebrated that or like really done anything there. So you mostly.
No, go ahead.
I was just for the most part, it's just like about drinking and stuff, and I never really have been like too like into that. But
yeah, some people eat corned beef hash, but I'm not gonna do that.
Oh yeah, that's decent though.
I was gonna say, I take it your work doesn't really celebrate that, TF. Like your work doesn't like say, "Oh, St. Patrick's Day."
Honestly, I don't remember anything. I can't think of anything. But, like, I don't know. Like for me, it's never. I never really cared for it too much. Like, I mean, for the most part, it just kind of has like a weird feel because that was the day that my dad died too. So it's just kind of like,
oh yeah,
like just a weird day.
That's kind of the same with me and New Year's Eve because,
Yeah.
This podcast got dark.
Oh yeah, New Year's happened by the time we last podcast. No, I'm kidding. I think we did podcasts this year. So.
Yeah, because that means we live to see another year. So it's a sad day.
Have any dark holiday memories involving your father, Joe?
I don't even know my father, so probably not. There's more depressing thoughts. Welcome to the depression. Well, we did have Valentine's Day, your favorite thing called Depression Day, so
yeah,
that was there too.
Depression Day, that happened. I didn't do anything. How you been, TF?
Well, since we're already very down and out, I may as well talk about how terrible my past week was. Right? But I mean,
maybe
honestly,
hearing about how terrible things have been for you will cheer me up. Kidding.
Honestly, I'm doing pretty good tonight. I mean, it's kind of been a long day. I didn't really get a whole lot of sleep last night, and just a lot of just stuff going on, you know, with my mom's health and like the usual. But more or less, last Wednesday, actually a week ago to the day, we had a really huge windstorm here in Michigan, and I mean, I knew that it probably was going to be a pretty big deal before it happened, but I don't think anybody really expected it to be as big of a deal as it was. Like it was like really, really windy when I left for work that morning. But you know, after I got up to work, it started getting worse, and I could like feel like the roof shaking and stuff like that. So I kind of knew it was pretty bad. And one of my coworkers got a phone call from their boyfriend back at their house. And they're talking about like the shingles blowing off of their roof and like hitting stuff. And I was like, okay, this is like probably getting pretty serious at that point. And, you know, we started hearing about like how many people were without power. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 250 going back to winter. And this, like, we're talking about like snow and it's the wind chill's like going below zero again. And we don't have any heat. Don't have any power. Strangely, I had the internet for like the first like 12 hours or something because I didn't even know this, but apparently they came in and installed like a battery backup for our modem. And so it stayed on for like 12 hours, but it didn't matter because I still had like, you know, my phone or whatever, and I could use the data on that for the internet. But I mean, it was just like a miserable, like it was over 4 days, like it was out, which is like way longer than it had been out, I think, I've ever experienced, even going back to like the 2003 blackout. And a few years ago we had a big storm and it was out for a couple days. Like nothing had been anywhere near as long as this, and I was just getting so tired of like having to go out and like buy firewood and take it back just so that the house wasn't freezing. And I mean, it was still getting cold in there. Like I woke up like the second morning and it was like 48 degrees in my room, and that was with like the fireplace going and stuff. So it was bad. And just having to go to work and you know, come home and like try to shower in the dark and like brush my teeth in the dark, just not fun. Like I felt like I was like a prospector or something, you know, like living in a tent, like trying to forage things or gold or something. But
Little House on the Prairie.
yeah, like that type of life. It was bad. And then I guess still like it's like even like days afterwards, it was still windy and it's like freezing outside. So I keep having to like go out there and get wood. I like wake up in the middle of the night and like have to go find more wood to like throw in the fire just so I wasn't freezing. And nobody I knew had power either. Like none of my aunts had power. Yeah, it was just bad. It was really bad. Like it was one of the more miserable experiences I've had recently.
Man,
it was crappy too because like I would go into work and then everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, I got my power back today," and I'm like, "Yep, I'm still waiting." Like about 800,000 people like got it back. I was like one of the like last few people.
Wow.
It was kind of funny. I mean, I'm sure there's still people without power. Like I'm sure that there's still some people who live in like some of the like like very very distant suburbs and like the rural areas that still don't have power because it was really like basically the whole city got affected by it. But I'd go into work and someone would be like, "Oh yeah, I got my power back today," and I'd just be sitting there like, "Yeah, I showered in the dark this morning. I didn't have to eat." Like, it was funny too because there was this one person like, because our like electric company, like the main one in Michigan is like DTE Energy, and they had this tweet saying like, "Oh yeah, we've restored power to 80% or like 90% of all people in Michigan," and then I just seen someone like tweet them back like, "Glad to know that I'm one of the few that was chosen to suffer in the cold tonight," and I was like cracking up at that.
How are you actually able to shower without electricity?
Water's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they don't need electricity to use water.
No, yeah,
water, gas.
Yeah.
I think it affects it here because, like, when we have power outages, like, you can't flush the toilet after a while.
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Might be a little bit different.
Like a well or something like that. You need like a pump, I think, if you have like a well, right?
I think we have a water heater.
Yeah, but like the heated water doesn't go through the toilet.
I don't know how all that works.
Yeah, I mean, we have a water heater, but it's a gas water heater, so it doesn't even take electricity. Thankfully. I mean, some people didn't even have that. Like, if you have an electric one, you're screwed.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun week, even with water.
No.
So without water would be not good.
To make matters worse, there were like trees laying down all over the place. So like whenever I tried to leave the house, like there'd be this
I saw that picture you put up. You put up a
there'd be this like miles long of cars trying to like drive around these trees that were laying in the middle of the road. And it took them days to even clean that up because they were like too busy trying to like there was a house down the street from me that like burned down because like a tree fell on it and it fell on a wire and it caught the house on fire. And I know in Detroit there was this weird thing where like some landlord like got mad at one of his tenants and like lit something on fire and the wind ended up like causing it to engulf the whole building and it killed a bunch of people.
Okay, I should not laugh.
A landlord got angry at one of his tenants and set something on fire.
Yeah, and the wind ended up like blowing it through the entire building and it killed a bunch of people.
Ah.
Man.
That was funny at first, but that was
fun. That wind, man.
There were a bunch of houses that burned down, though. Like, even like I said, just one in my neighborhood like caught on fire because a wire fell down on it. There's like trees everywhere. It's crazy.
Weather can be unforgiving sometimes.
I'm glad to have that over. I finally got it back a couple days ago, and I'm just like, because everything was a mess in the house too. Because like you can't see anything, like you can't really clean things up. I mean, you have flashlights, you have candles and stuff, but I mean, you're not going to clean the house with that going on. Like I walked into my room and there's just like clothes laying everywhere, and like everything's a mess. Like I still haven't even gotten around to sorting out that mess. Because like I can't wash my clothes unless I'm going to take it to like a laundromat or something, and like I'm not going to do that. So still trying to get all that sorted out. Oh yeah,
I was with you,
but I don't have time for that right now. I mean, the laundromat didn't even have power anyway, so it's like
you gotta like wash it in the soap and water and like hang it on a clothesline.
Yeah, but see that's the thing though. It's not going to work though because it's too cold. Like it was too cold.
True.
Like I tried that, and all it did was like make it really humid. And I looked out on like the back porch, and I could see like water like dripping off of the ceiling, and I was like, "Uh-oh, like this is bad," because it was so cold that the water wasn't evaporating; it was just kind of like sitting there and making it humid.
Yeah, this sounds pretty miserable.
Glad no one was like from your end of your family and stuff was like hurt though.
Yeah,
by
I was
it.
worried about that.
Yeah, thankfully nothing bad happened there, but if it would have gone a couple more days, that might have been a different story. I might have hurt somebody, honestly, if it went a couple.
Anything else going on besides that?
Not really. I mean, just working and trying to forget about that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad when like going to work's probably the highlight of your day.
Oh yeah, because at least it was warm there.
All right, guys. What do you say we jump into our topics for the week?
I'm all set.
My only question is, who died? Like, who are we going to talk about dying?
Nobody died, thankfully, which is actually pretty rare these days. But all right, let's start with the first one here. Apparently, YouTube have started a service called YouTube TV. Have you guys heard about this?
I feel like I heard I heard the name and a little bit about it, but not like too much.
I haven't heard about it. I've heard of YouTube Music, which is, I guess, their way around, because I know, like, one of the big things that annoyed everybody was that, like, when you play YouTube on your phone, you can't, like, minimize it and keep the music playing. Like, you have to have it open. So now they have YouTube Music. That was all licensing stuff anyways, but...
Right, well, YouTube TV is kind of like a service where you can watch, like, a bunch of different cable channels and, like, local ones like CBS and ABC live on YouTube. It's kind of like Sling, which I believe even like Hulu. I believe even Hulu are working into doing something like this now. And
yeah, like Roku and like the Fire Stick and all that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of different because that's like Netflix and Hulu and stuff. Like, I'm talking like actual cable channels that you used to need cable for, but now you can actually watch these things live, like just on YouTube, which is pretty crazy. But I mean, we've talked about it for years, but how much longer do you guys think cable's even going to be around, considering you can get whatever you want now and watch it on YouTube? Or
honestly, until they finally get sports, you're able to watch sports on, on these things.
You can a little bit. You can
a little bit.
Fully, yeah. There's not like you can't have like League Pass or NFL Sunday Ticket and stuff like that. But you can. There's NBA TV on one of them. I think Sling and ESPN is a big part of them and stuff like that. But
yeah, but like looking at it from like my perspective, let's say that I wanted to watch like a Tigers game or like a Red Wings game,
yeah, that's true.
Like a Pistons game or something. Those games are exclusive on like Fox Sports Detroit.
I don't think I would ever. Go ahead.
You're not going to be able to do that. Like, you're just not going to be able to watch those. Like, you're going to be able to watch the big games.
Well,
on,
I don't know, because it says
playoffs.
on local channels, like CBS and ABC. I don't know if they would be, like, your local channels or not. I would assume
but those are local over-the-air channels, though. Like, they're cable channels, though, that I'm talking about. Like, they don't show those games on local channels. Unless
I get what you're talking about. They're like part of a package. You don't get those, like, normally, basically.
Yeah, you have to buy them from your cable provider.
Ah, okay.
See, what I was going to say is me and Chad have the same one, Spectrum. I know for the Laker games and stuff here, it's like on a channel called like Spectrum Sports Net, which is like owned by Spectrum. So I know at least in that term, that's not going anywhere because that's owned by them. So it's like they obviously they'll distribute it to other places, but I wouldn't think so. So I think in that sense they're going to say
there's still some advantages that cable have, but I mean, you hear about people like dropping the cord every day, and now they're introducing things like this. I don't think this is going to be good for cable at all.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm just saying. Like, I think cable has until they find a way to broadcast sports in a way where you can do it on your computer, or you can do it on like your Chromecast or your Roku box or something like that. Like, once they do that, they find a way to do that. I mean, there's going to be no reason to have cable anymore. Yeah, it's kind of like with pay-per-views and stuff like that. Like, obviously, you still need to have cable for that, for the most part. Like, for pay-per-view things.
For the most part. I could see that starting to change, too.
Well, you can get around it, but it's not like...
Oh, no, but like even, stuff like, say, WWE and UFC are two pay-per-view, they used to be pay-per-view. Now they have, like, apps, so it's like, even they're kind of going to, like, if some of these pay-per-view things, they could go to apps too. So it's like things are changing like that.
Can you get the UFC pay-per-views on their app? I don't know.
I wouldn't be able. I feel like I don't know if you get their pay-per-views, but I know you get like various events like overseas and stuff. I don't know if you get the actual
like
pay-per-views.
WWE.
Yeah, WWE.
Completely done away with pay-per-views. I mean, they still have pay-per-views, but like you can watch it on their app for.
Well, they
$10
basically call you an idiot for ordering their pay-per-views. So.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what you said about like is this going to hurt cable? I think it does in the long run. I think in the short term, because I look at like my grandparents, like because I've thought about suggesting Sling and all that too, but it's kind of like it would miss some channels they watch, and I think that's still kind of the thing. And I think that's kind of maybe something that could hurt these like various outlets doing it, is that you're going to kind of have different TV channels maybe for different services, possibly kind of like Netflix and Hulu have different rights to TV shows. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it kind of strikes me as maybe a potential problem because for instance, like hold on, say I want to like get Sling or something. Say there's no, I don't know, what major channel on there. It could go on the YouTube one, but then you have to pay for both, and then it starts to add up. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say too, like you mentioned your grandparents. I think another obstacle that could be for this too. I think this is mostly for younger people, because I think a lot of older people have trouble when it comes to streaming. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I see that every day.
Like you have your grandparents now, Joe. You got them a Roku so they could watch WWE Network, but I mean, I'm sure even that can be kind of difficult for them. Cause it's not really what they're used to.
I have to, like, if anything goes wrong or they do something wrong, I'm the one that goes and fixes it, or the Netflix and all that stuff. But yeah, it's basically kind of a learning curve, and sometimes people don't want that learning curve. Sometimes they pay more just because they don't have to learn something. And even too, like, Tim kind of mentioned like his power outage, like not so much a power outage, but like when you have like an internet outage, that kind of affects your ability to watch that stuff. I believe. I don't know for sure, but
yeah, it does.
Compared to cable, where you would kind of still have cable.
Yeah, dude, Joe, with your internet, like there'd be a lot of times where you couldn't do anything.
Yeah, you have to have really fast internet too to be able to stream that stuff, especially if you're talking about like 4K. And
there's like some areas where you can't even get good internet. So
yeah, there's a lot of places in Michigan like that, especially like up north, where they don't even have the lines there. Like you either use dial-up or you use like satellite internet, which is going to be garbage for streaming. So
dial-up.
Yeah, and like dial-up, you're not going to stream at all. Like you're going to be like not really doing a whole lot of anything. But to kind of touch on the point about some of the older people, I mean, I see that every day at my work, like people coming in with all these questions, like, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And it's like I can't really teach you how to use it. Like, I'm like, I don't, I'm not rude about it or anything, but it's like, I'm not their grandson. Like, I can't go over there and show them how to use it. They can't figure it out. They need to just forget about it, because it's just not going to happen. Like streaming stuff like that is pretty basic. Like, if you can't figure that out, it's probably not for you.
How do I put the stories on the TV?
Yeah, or they'll say stuff like, I bought like the thing that I see a lot is that people will buy like a 4K TV and they'll think that they're going to get like over the air broadcast in 4K, and it's like that doesn't exist yet. Like you have to use like a Chromecast or something with it to get 4K, because that's the only way you're going to get it is through streaming, or if you get like a 4K Blu-ray or something, which is a whole other can of worms we don't want to open, because if they can't even figure out like why they're not getting 4K, I mean, they're definitely not going to be figuring out how to use that anytime soon. And then they'll be like, well, so I have to use this, and they'll take that and try to figure that out, and they can't figure that out. And it's like, so it's always a mess. So there is that disconnect there. I don't think the older generation is really going to get it. Like, they're not going to get the streaming thing. I mean, in some cases, cable TV is probably enough of a hassle. Like forget adding this stuff to the mix.
Yeah, I don't think cable's gone just yet. I think they still have a few more years, but I definitely think this is a hit for them. And I mean, with how much cable, I mean, they rip you off. I mean, they make you get all these channels you don't even need in a package just to get like certain channels that you want. And I very much like the idea of just being able to pick which channels I want and being able to stream them.
Yeah. Here's it. Cable is going to become like the AOL of like TV. Like old people still use AOL in some very remote corners of the like, senior citizens home. It's still there. Like, I've seen it. Like, some people still use that, and they're like, "Do you mean I can delete this? Like, I don't need this to connect to the internet?" And I'm like, "No." Like, they're like, "Well, what am I paying for?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're paying for, but but you're not even using like dial-up. You're not even using AOL. Like, you have like Comcast or something." So it's
I
like,
had that for a few years. I had that for a few years, like a long time ago now. But I remember we had like actual internet, and I had AOL, and I kind of figured it out. And it's like, why are we paying for this AOL? We don't even need it. It's like
you're paying for like this program that shows you the news and like lets you like search.
and you have a messenger basically too. Yeah, the AOL messenger, but
that's free.
Yeah, it's free. I know. I'm just saying that it's like one of the only things you have with that. So
I've never had AOL, and I've always had AOL Messenger. So
I had AOL at one point, and it was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. It was back in the download days.
This was many years ago, but.
Let's move into our next topic here. This is another subscription service that was announced recently, but this one's actually for video games. Xbox Game Pass, apparently for a monthly fee, you're going to have access to a ton of different games that you can just download and play. Sort of similar to EA Access, but I think this is really cool. And, something that I'm looking into. I'm not a huge gamer, but the idea of having like 100 games or something, just like for a small price every month, I think that sounds really cool. What do you think, Joe?
I definitely am for the idea. I mean, you actually got me EA Access as a Christmas gift. I'm hopefully getting that soon because it's pretty handy because, I'm not really sure. Maybe the Xbox would do the same thing, but you kind of, obviously get the on-demand titles. You kind of get, basically you can try the new games that come out for like a trial period of a few hours, and you get all
the library for this is like a lot more vast than EA's is.
I can imagine because EA goes off of like some of their old games on there, but then they kind of add the newer games like a few months, probably like a half a year after they release. So it's like with this, I imagine obviously you have like a whole bunch of different titles, and you have 360 games too. I know it's backwards compatible in a sense, so it's like you're gonna have a whole lot of stuff on there. So yeah, I definitely think it's a very big improvement. And I'm kind of a pay by the year guy, so I kind of hope to have one of those kind of deals where you can pay for the whole year, because I would definitely get that for that. I would definitely try it for like a month or two too for $10 and see how it is, because I'm very curious to see what kind of games they have. I know there's some games that have been listed, but there's still more to come.
What are your thoughts on this thing, DF?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, a lot of times for me, it's kind of hard for me to justify like buying like a $60 game or something like that, because I don't know if I'm really going to like it or I'm really going to want to keep playing it, especially when like these big titles come out. So to me, that sounds like a great idea. That way, I mean, if you don't really like it, I mean, you didn't necessarily pay for that game, you can just get something else. And that's the big thing for me. Like, there's a lot of games that I'm sure were good games that I just didn't get just because I was like, I couldn't really justify like spending $60 on it.
That's a good point too.
The other thing that I like too, though, is that I like where this is going, because now they're not only just doing that, but with like the Xbox, they're starting to make it so you can buy the game on your Xbox and you can play it on your PC, because they're merging these platforms. Like, you're going to be using Windows like on your Xbox or your Xbox One, Xbox One S, and you're going to be using it on your computer. So you can like buy it on the Xbox and then download it on your computer and play it there as well. So
that's really cool.
I really like that. I know that's one of the things like on the new like Forza that just came out. Like, that was one of the first games where they started doing that with it, which I thought was pretty cool. So I really like that idea a lot.
I'm not much of a PC gamer because I think my computer would die if I tried to play games on there.
Probably.
I'm definitely with you on like the $60 thing. Like, I do that once a year with the WWE game just because I pretty much know what I'm going to get. I pretty much know I'm always going to be angry at it too, but like I could not do that regularly, and I don't know how people do. So the idea of just having a whole bunch of games for $10 a month, that sounds great to me. Even if they're a little older, I mean, it's still something.
Yeah, like I it's the same thing like with music. Like I used to just like well, obviously I would like download it illegally in the past, but it's gotten harder to do that now, and like I don't like to do the YouTube thing because like the quality is like really like bad. At least I can tell the difference, so I don't like doing that. And I used to just like buy stuff on iTunes if it was that like big of a deal to me. But now they have like Apple Music and like Spotify Premium and all that, where you basically pay like $10 a month and you can like play anything like however much you want. So
you can play
I
them
really
offline
like
too. Just handy.
yeah, yep. You can download them so you can play them offline, or you can play them on like your phone or whatever. So that's just what I do these days. Like $10 a month. It's like I don't even notice it, but I get access to pretty much any song that I want, anywhere I want, and I can download it.
I feel like this would be cool for us too, because we like to play games together once in a while, but we're not always necessarily into the same games. But with this, I mean, we'd have a whole bunch of different games to choose from and try different things that we wouldn't normally buy.
That reminds me, I think it was this month. I can't remember on like the games with gold. I think that they added I think it was Borderlands 2 or something on there. Like I never played that on the Xbox.
What is that exactly?
It's a game. I don't know if you would like it. I don't know if you would like it, Chad. But I was a big fan of it. Like when it I played it a lot when it came out, but I played it on the PC. But I was like, that's pretty cool because that was like a pretty big game like in its day. Like it's still pretty popular.
I usually, whenever they do the games with gold, I'll get it, but then I'll just delete it just to say that I have it, because then you can always re-get it. But very rarely do I ever actually play a lot of those games. But
yeah, you don't even have to delete it. Let it download. You could just press buy and then cancel the download, and it goes on there anyway. So you don't even have to download it.
Yeah, that's what I meant really. But
yeah,
from what I hear, they're not doing away with games with gold. That's still going to be around, which is good too, because that's a handy thing too.
Oh yeah, you get that forever. So it's kind of a difference, because say you get rid of the service, you at least still have those games with gold that you have. So I can see. Thank you.
Speaking
I think today was actually the last day for that. Oh well, I might get on there and download it right now.
Well, speaking of video games, it was announced today that Disney Afternoon Collection is coming to Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Basically, for $20, you get 6 older games from the 90s. You get Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, DuckTales 2, and TaleSpan. And I'm very interested in this. I think I might get this just because I used to like playing those Disney games on the Sega Genesis, and I think this would really bring back a lot of old memories.
Yeah, I think I played all of those. So yeah, that'd be really fun.
I definitely did the DuckTales game. I don't know if I might have did the Darkwing Duck one, because I was a big Darkwing Duck fan. But I mean, $20 for 6 games isn't bad, and I think this could definitely bring back some fun memories just playing those kind of games. You think you might get this, Matthew?
I mean, yeah, I definitely would think about it. I mean, I probably have some of those games laying around, but my Genesis and or any of my older consoles died long ago. But I mean, this type of thing's really coming back. We see how successful the NES Classic that came out was, and what a big deal that was, and yeah, I mean, even now with the Nintendo Switch that just came out, a lot of the games even on there, you're seeing some of these classic titles kind of coming back for that too. So I mean, it's definitely in right now, and I'm okay with that, because those were my favorite games. When I was a kid, those are the games that I played, and those are classics to me. So it's good to see that those still get the respect they deserve, and that they're still around, because in a lot of ways, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that they're kind of getting brought back like this, there's really no way to play them unless you're going to download an emulator or something like that on your computer. But it's kind of not the same. But I like the idea. I really do.
What are your thoughts on this, Joe?
I definitely think it's a fun idea. I think I played a couple of those games, so I don't really vividly remember them, but I definitely think it's a good idea in general to remaster some of those games, especially ones kind of in those back in those systems, because they're kind of not as prevalent. Whereas even though some of the older games are cool, it's just it's cool to have games from that era of the 90s where they're kind of just old school. It's a little bit different, kind of like when they used to have those old arcade games on Xbox Live. I don't know if they still do, but I remember they had those on 360 where they had the Ninja Turtles and all those, and they're kind of arcade games that you could just play. I thought that was kind of a cool touch, and I know a lot of friends back then actually used to get those and play those, so I know it was pretty popular.
Yeah, I really miss those. You could get those for $5. I'd get them all the time. They were fun.
Yeah, they were definitely a fun trip back to. Some were multiplayer, I think, too, so it was kind of fun to play with those.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever play that Quack Shot?
Quack Shot?
It had it had Donald Duck on it, and
I don't think I
think
did.
so.
It was kind of an obscure game, but it was like one of my favorite ones. It's like really challenging. Like it took me a long time to beat that. But that was an old game. Like, that was one of the earlier Genesis games that came out.
You know what
See
Disney game I'd really like to play again would be the Aladdin game from
Yeah, I
7.
played that
I used
one.
to love that.
I had that one. I used to play that one too. I think Lion King too had one, didn't they? I remember.
Oh, I
Lion
love
King.
that one. Yep.
Yep,
Both
Lion
of those
King
I
had
remember.
one. Remember there was a Toy Story game that was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, that was actually like really like it was one of the later Sega Genesis games because it was like probably like the mid '90s or something. But it was like
the
actually
graphics
like,
were better than usual.
They
like,
were.
for Sega Genesis and
because it was like
Super Nintendo.
3D.
Yeah, it almost looked like it was an N64 game or something.
Yeah, I loved that game. That
Yeah,
and there was one like the Jungle Book that was really good too.
I think I might have played that.
I don't remember that one, but I
All
might have.
right, guys, we got one more topic here tonight. What some people are calling the next evolution in luxury movie theaters, playgrounds. Apparently, California later this month, so you might be able to go, Joe, if you wanted to. Basically, it's a playground in the movie theater, and my first thought was like, this looks like fun, but my second thought is like, who's gonna want to go see a movie with kids playing? But then I read that apparently kids can actually play during the movie, only like 15 minutes before it starts, and it kind of makes me wonder what the point of this is, because I mean, I guess it's kind of cool, but like, you really gonna take your kids to a movie theater just so they can play on a playground for 15 minutes beforehand? And then like, if you stop them for the movie, they're probably gonna be grumpy about that. So I don't really see the appeal of this.
I don't even understand this at all. Like, what is the point of this?
I don't know. It's different. I'll give them that, but
Like, what is it? Just so the kids don't like get loud and rowdy in the theater when they're in there or something? Like,
I guess maybe like they don't want the kids to get rowdy like before the movie starts, but I feel like giving them a playground for 15 minutes and then having them stop would just make them rowdy during the movie.
yeah, and then all those things are gonna probably get gross too because, like, like especially if there's like, because they have like popcorn and stuff in those theaters and all this candy and stuff. Like, those kids are gonna say that this is like something for adults, like an adult playground or something like that, where you can like, I don't know, get on a swing set and watch them. Yeah, like you put a bunch of swings in there and you just keep going back and forth.
I would totally go to like a swing set movie theater.
But like this doesn't make any sense to me. This just sounds like a way to like try and like amuse kids so they're not all rowdy in the theater or something.
Like I said, I think it's just going to make them rowdier in the long run because you're basically letting them play for a few minutes, and then it's like, oh, you have to stop, and they're going to be like staring at the playground as the movie's playing.
I just don't understand how this is a trend. Like, why are we even doing this?
I have no idea. I don't get it.
I've never heard of this, but maybe it's a weird California thing. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on this, Joe?
See, to me, when you first said this, you were kind of going over the concept. I was like, oh, this would be a good way for when you're like a parent, you want to see a movie, but you really, like you have kids and they're gonna bug. You put them in with a supervised adult in this like playground environment while you watch the movie because it just seems like, hey, then you could watch.
Yeah, that sounds like that'd be loud though. Like the kids are over playing while you're trying to watch the movie.
But see, I didn't picture this being in the actual like where the movie is. I pictured this being like in its own place, basically. Kind of like in another part of the theater, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a daycare.
Yeah, like a daycare. That makes sense to me.
But see,
yeah, that makes sense.
I was thinking that because I remember back when I used to live in Vegas, I used to live there when I was a kid. Me and my sister, she was, we were both kind of, my grandparents, and my parents want to go to a casino, so. They would have like these places called I think they were called like Kid Crazy or something like that, where you basically it was a playground with video games and all kinds of stuff in there that you would pay to have your kids in there while you went to the casino and they'd watch you. So that's why I was thinking like this makes sense for that. This is like what it is. And you tell me what it is. I'm like, yeah, that just seems bizarre. Like that's just a weird use of that. But like for me, it's just weird in general, just because I don't really go to movie theaters. I think that's probably the one thing I did do during that, like the past month, was like go see that movie Rings, which I want to go see for like the first time I went to a movie theater in probably 4 or 5 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went was like to see that movie with the doll Annabelle, which was like years ago. So I know there has to be like that long. But yeah, I don't know about the concept of this. I don't really get it myself either, but we'll see how it goes, I guess. I don't foresee this taking off and becoming a big thing.
I don't either. They're saying it's like the next big thing. I don't see that.
I don't either. Maybe we're wrong, though. Maybe, I mean, McDonald's has places where kids eat, and I'm sure, parents are like, get out of here so we can go eat. So that seems to work.
But those places are absolutely horrifying, though.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that, like, they're popular, so.
Last time I went in...
I've heard of, like, them finding, like, needles and stuff in those things.
Oh, yeah. The last one time I went in there was probably as a joke when I was, like, 12 or something like that. And I was like, why in the world did I do this when I was, like, a kid? Like, there was, like, ketchup in there. Like, kids would go in there and, like, spray ketchup all over the place.
Okay, I hate that.
Like, I know for a fact that there was, like, urine in there, too. Like, those kids were peeing in there and stuff because it smelled like it. Like, especially when you went into, like, the ball pit. Like, that was in there. And God knows what else.
I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast before.
Oh gosh, he peed in the play.
Yeah.
He peed in the play stage.
But like 20 years ago, like I remember, like my mom was hearing about like some of the drugs and stuff found in those, and we were sitting in McDonald's, and she was looking out at it, and she very loudly, without thinking what she was about to say, said to me, "Little kids shouldn't play with those balls." And all these like old people.
She's not wrong.
She said it like little kids shouldn't play with their balls, and like people are looking. We still like reference that every once in a while because it was a pretty memorable moment.
That's funny.
There's a lot of unsanitary places though, because I'm kind of remember when I was a kid and went to Raging Waters. There's like this water park and like.
Don't even get me started with that.
Yeah, you would like I just remember as a kid, you just like basically you're like we'd go to like a certain place of it, like you'd be in like a certain ride and be like, one of those free rides where you kind of just go to the water and stuff, and people like the adults would be like, oh, just stay away from that part of the water. There's like pee there. They would just go past it like this was just a thing.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
I know it's not. It's just like it's funny how it's just like so accepted. Like you just know there's going to be pee there. It's like a thing.
Yeah, I used to go to the local public pool and kind of feared the same thing.
There was a study done recently. I can't remember like what the ratio was, but they were talking about how like the average pool, like an average like decent size like public pool, has a gallon of urine in it. Apparently,
people are disgusting, man. Why would someone go pee in a pool?
Well,
kids, I kind of get.
Yeah, I was going to say like sometimes people take like little toddlers in there. It's going to happen. You don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen.
So like a large like now let's say like there was a pool, like it was a large like public pool, like the way they were describing it is that like those are about like maybe like 830,000 gallons or something like that. There's like 30 gallons of urine on average in those.
The more you know, everybody. The more you know.
See, yeah,
crazy.
To me,
and apparently,
go ahead, Jeff.
Apparently, like when you smell like that really strong, like chlorine smell or whatever, it doesn't really have that smell unless it's like reacting with something. That usually means that there's a lot of urine in there.
Honestly,
that's good to know.
Honestly, even if you take out the urine, I mean, it's kind of gross. Period. That like all these people are like in the water and like their germs are going everywhere.
Yeah, and who knows what they were doing before that. Like they probably didn't shower during the day, and
yeah, it might be
it's
some
kind of
dude
gross.
getting in there that hasn't showered in like a week. And
that's their shower right there.
Then who knows if there are people like having sex in there or something, like.
Oh my god.
Especially if you're like it's like a hot tub or something like that. Like people are doing weird stuff.
Thankfully, I've never seen anyone doing that in a pool before.
What have you been doing in a hot tub, TF, to know this?
I'm just saying. It
I
happened.
know, I'm kidding.
But
he wishes.
The way I look at it though is, yeah, it is gross, but you kind of have to remember though, like if you're swimming in the ocean or in a lake, basically you're swimming in a bunch of like, who knows what, like fish poop.
I don't swim in the ocean.
Well, the ocean's, well, probably a lot of stuff in the ocean that we don't want to be there.
I've been to the beach, so it's happened.
I never really liked that idea. Like, I did it as a kid, but I never really liked the idea of being out there. It's gross.
I was more terrified of, like being, like, I don't know if this sounds silly, but kind of being, like, cast away by the water to, because, you know, the currents and stuff, like, more so than like, grossness, like that.
I totally get that.
That's a total, like, thing. Like, if you're not a good swimmer, there's, like, a rip current or something like that. I mean, even if you're...
Dude, sometimes when I'm outside, I'm, like, afraid of getting sucked up into the air, so that's
crazy. I've had that. I'm not lying either. I know that.
If you live in, like, Kansas or something, that could happen.
I know what he means, though, because when I was, like, a kid, we went to, like, Disneyland for some reason. Like, we would watch that nighttime fireworks celebration. You'd have to, like, look up at the sky and stuff, and I don't know, I just look up at the sky and you just think, like, man, I could, like something's gonna, like, you just had, like, these thoughts of, like, something sucking you up there for some reason.
It's this really eerie, unsettling feeling that you just look up, like, into the sky and, like, picture yourself just, like, being, like, off the earth.
Well, if it wasn't for gravity, that's where we'd all go, you know?
Yeah, and it's just, like, scary because you never know, like, gravity might disappear one day or something, and we just all go off into space and die.
See, I wasn't thinking of...
There is a place in Canada where there, for some reason, like, less gravity than the rest of the world, so...
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you can, like, jump really high and stuff like that, or, like, almost float in certain situations. Like, if you're, like, get in the water or whatever, you kind of, like, just, like, sit on the top of it. It's really weird.
I want to visit there. That sounds fun.
Something different. Kind of fun.
Like, it's not, like, totally, like extremely noticeable, but, like, you can tell.
Huh.
Like, if you get on a scale, you'll weigh less than you weigh in, like, normal places.
Well, I should move there.
I mean, it might be good for people who have, like, a bad back or something like that.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys, let's move on to our weekly quiz. And, Joe, did you send it to TF yet?
I have not, but I was going to ask you, can you get that quiz too? Like, do I send it to you? Like, are you going to, how do I send it to you? Or are you just going to open it? Okay.
I can get it on here.
I've sent the quiz to TF, I believe. And I will send the quiz to you, and let me open
up. I'm still
on
the computer. I'm just talking on the phone.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. This is a classic quiz that we've taken, but this one was made recently, so I'm kind of curious to see what we get. It is, who is your celebrity wife? Who will it be?
I always love these ones.
Yeah, this is a recent one, so I'm guessing there's some pretty recent celebrities. Go ahead, TF.
Yeah, these are always fun, because one of us is inevitably going to get, like, Rosie O'Donnell or something like that, so.
All right, let me know when you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
I am ready as well.
Pretty sure these are the same questions, but we'll see here. We should ask, since you're probably not a celebrity, what exactly are you bringing to the table in this relationship? My humor, I listen, confidence, perhaps TF specialty, sexual TNT.
That's not the question I have at all. No, I'm kidding. It is. Probably my humor. I mean, I listen too, but I think my humor is probably the thing.
I would probably either be that or maybe I listen. I think I'll go with I listen. I'm not the funniest guy in the world.
I gotta go with I listen too. It just seems the most fitting. I got none of us big confidence, though.
I'm not always the most confident guy. I have my moments, but...
All right, question number 2. What's the upside of having a celebrity wife? Parties, money, gifts, or opportunity? Quite the vain question here. This is a fun what if. It's a fun side perk.
I think it would just be having them as a wife, honestly. But...
Well, if you had to pick one that was a fun side perk, what would it be out of these?
I guess money would be nice because, you'd always be set. You wouldn't have to worry about that.
Until their career goes under. Then what?
Then you have to provide for them.
Yeah, true, but at least for the moment, you're living the good life.
I would probably go with opportunity, just because, like, I mean, the money would be nice too, but, I mean, obviously if you got more opportunities, then you could probably, like, protect yourself against, like, one day when the stuff isn't happening anymore, like, when you're washed up.
Put your foot in the door. Get you on in their show or something.
Well, not necessarily that, but I mean, it could mean any opportunity, you know?
True.
Like, maybe if you just get a job somewhere, like a corporation or something, you know?
I'm going to go with parties, and I'll explain why, because I'm including this to mean like award shows and stuff, which would be kind of cool to go to. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with parties. All right. Wait, question number 3, the downside. I like how there's a picture of like I believe it's Scarlett Johansson with like a gun
Yep.
pointing like at one of us.
That would be a downside.
The downsides are no privacy, stalkers, criticism, or no us time.
Oh man, I feel like all of these apply, but I'm gonna go with no less time because I think that would probably be the one that would probably get to me the most. Like, no privacy sounds no fun. Definitely wouldn't want stalkers around, but yeah, no less time.
Yeah, I gotta agree, and that's always going to be the case. Like, if you have like a significant other who's at all famous, like even if it's like it's an athlete or actor or whatever, like they're going to be always like going all over the place. Or if they're a musician, they're going to be touring, and you're not going to want to go along for all that because it's just going to be exhausting. Because you're not going to be like doing what you love. You're just going to be like hopping around hotels like in a new city every day, exhausted. You're going to be realistically like sitting at home or like working or something. So like that would definitely be the worst part.
That's a bad one, but I think I'm going to go with no privacy because I think no privacy is an even bigger one because you would like, because obviously as a celebrity person, you would always be kind of followed with what you were doing. So even with your us time, you would still have someone around taking pictures or into your life. So I would go with no privacy.
I mean, that would be bothersome, but I mean, you could get over that, I think.
I can see the criticism too, because I feel like you look at like K-Fed back in the day, and like you could be looked at like that.
You could be the next K-Fed.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to K-Fed? Okay, question number 4.
I don't know.
What kind of wedding ceremony would you like to have? Quiet and small, elaborate, or Vegas, baby?
I'm gonna go with quiet and small. Like, I like the idea of a quiet, small wedding.
Especially if you're talking about someone who's like famous. Like, you're gonna want that to be small.
You don't like paparazzis and stuff there.
No, and I don't want like at that point, if you just even invite like all of your like mildly close friends, there's going to be a lot of people because if you're famous, you're going to have a lot of people who are like friends with you just because you're famous. Invite their friends or something, or they're going to feel like they should have like their significant other there, and it's just going to be a mess.
I'm already laughing pretty hard at the next question.
For this one, I haven't seen that. For this one, I'm going to go with quiet and small as well. Next question. Let's see. Okay. Question number 5 here. And there's no picture for this one, so you can see why. You're laying out on a private beach. You spy paparazzi photos of your junk. What do you do? Attack. File suit. Ignore them. Flash them. Well, Chad, do you like to flash? Maybe that's a choice for you.
Not that kind of flash.
Sounds like you're already flashing them at that point, but
yeah, I would.
I guess you put on a little show.
I would file suit because first of all, it's a private beach. They shouldn't be there. Second of all, that's not for them to be photographing. I don't even know why they would want photographs with that, but I'm gonna suit.
At the same time, if you have it out in public or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically that's going to happen.
Honestly, I could not imagine like walking around on the beach like that. But
then again, I don't know. I think I would just ignore it, honestly, because the worst thing you could do when you're a celebrity and there's someone like bothering you is acknowledge them, because then it's like they have a reason to keep doing it. Like if you make a big deal about it, then people are going to care. If you don't make a big deal about it, nobody's going to care.
The tough one. I probably would file suit, even though TF's right. It just seems like it. I don't know. It would just be kind of offensive. It'd make me. I mean, obviously, it'd make me angry, but I don't know. You kind of lash out at it. All right, question number 6. How do you feel about kids? Love them, hate them, whatever.
I love kids.
I'll probably go with, honestly, like whatever here, because I would like to have kids, but I'm not great with them. I
Wait till
don't
she
really
gets to the
know.
next one, TF. You're gonna laugh so hard.
All right, I'm already ready for this. What?
I still can't see it, so I'm gonna go with. I'll go with love them. I don't know if I'm gonna brush for them, but love them. Let's see what what's to come.
I already know what I'm picking.
Okay, this is great. Which of these is the biggest party foul? Passing out in the bathroom, passing out of Tom Hanks, puking, booty calling my friend's mom.
Honestly, I want to pick the Tom Hanks one, but I think the booty calling my friend's mom would probably be the worst.
Well, yeah, not only that, but that'd be pretty awesome if you passed out and Tom Hanks took a picture with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but I can see the point of like kind of missing out on meeting Tom Hanks because you just take the picture and you be asleep. Not what I'm going with, but I'm just saying. Okay, so you picked you picked the friend's mom, Chad.
Yeah, that's
What
the worst.
is that? What you picked, TF? Because I don't know.
Between that all of these but the Tom Hanks one are pretty unsavory, but I think I'm going to agree with Chad, honestly.
Yeah, I'll go with that one too. Puking isn't ideal, but at least that's private. All right, I think this is the last question here. Yeah, last question. Oh no, your celebrity wife has to do a steamy love scene. Which co-star would be the worst? I'm probably gonna. Oh no, I won't butcher some of these things. Paul Giamatti, Rowan Atkinson, Steve Buscemi, or Carrot Top.
Honestly, I'd be okay with these. I'd be more like threatened if it was with like Leonardo DiCaprio or something. Like, I feel like if she has a love scene with one of these guys, she'd be happy to come home with me.
Dude, have any of these guys had a steamy scene with anybody ever?
Probably in a comic
Giamatti,
movie.
maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Steve Buscemi might have. I don't know, because he's in a lot of stuff.
I suppose in a sense you could think of it in the sense of like they have to make out with the person, and technically you're making out with them, which means you're kind of yeah.
That definitely. Yeah, probably Carrot Top.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that actually.
See, I feel kind of offended because even though Chad never seen it, like in high school people used to say I look like Mr. Bean, so
I still don't see that.
I don't either, but
I don't really see that either. But then again, people used to say I would look like Harry Potter, and like
Not either.
yeah, I think it's because I had like longish hair, which again doesn't really make sense because he had like longish hair, I guess maybe for those days, but like I don't know.
You know, Carrot Top's a good choice, and I feel like he'd stand out. Like you would think about it. I want to go Steve Buscemi just because I feel like I've seen him in so many movies and so many characters that I would just like every time you would just kind of think about that. Like, oh, yeah. It would come to mind, so I'm gonna go with him. All right, we got our results now.
Yeah, I'm not that crazy about mine. I don't even really know this person. I got Kerry Washington. Says,
heard of her.
Kerry may be on Scandal, but in her actual life, this beautiful bombshell is more likely to be accepting awards or lending her voice to worthy causes than getting her picture on the cover of a tabloid. And given the chance, there's no way she could ignore your drive, dash, and daring. It sounds okay. I'm not really that attracted to her, so...
You're not down with the swirl, Chad?
I don't even really know who that is. What'd you get?
She's pretty famous right now. I got Kate Middleton for some reason. It says here, do you think you're ready to marry royalty? Well, in Kate, you don't get an aloof upper crust snob, but someone who is down to earth, compassionate, genuine, and who also cares about the needs of those less fortunate. You also probably get a castle or two. There's no better match for a class act like you.
How the heck are we going to... I don't think you can top TF. Like, I mean, there's some that you can top TF with. The man gets, like, castles or two. Pretty big deal.
Yeah, that would be a pretty sweet life, like marrying into royalty, basically.
Yeah. She's not bad looking either.
I got probably the more, well, I wouldn't say most well, but I got Jennifer Lopez. It says, talk about a fiery diva. This actress, dancer, singer, businesswoman, TV star may not slow down long enough to marry you. She may be a tabloid queen. Have a self-described less than perfect public image, but there's no reason someone as charismatic and productive as you couldn't reel in Jenny off the block. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be quite amused by you and Jennifer Lopez getting together.
Oh man. That is,
J-Lo and J-Rev.
Hey,
this
we have
was
something going.
an unpredictable quiz, to say the least.
It was fun, though.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, though. Now that I think about it, I don't know if royalty would really be my thing. Because think of how proper you would have to be. Like, you could never have any fun.
You don't want to be royals,
Yeah.
TF?
No,
You'll never be
royal.
royals.
All
You won't call
right.
her Queen Bee.
Yeah, I mean, just think about that, though. Like, if you ever did something stupid or silly or whatever,
I get you.
you're going to be in all these papers saying, like, it was inappropriate and stuff.
I'd probably
So-
purposely do that, honestly.
I mean, let's be honest, that would happen. Like, with any one of us, we'd just do something stupid and, like, we'd be, like, banished from the family or something.
I feel like the general public would like you more, though, because they'd be like, oh,
Probably.
he's the fun one of them.
Well, here in the U.S., I know that would be true. I don't know about how they look at that in, like, you know, the U.K.
Yeah.
or anything, but like, I mean, because here, like, I feel like our version of like royalty here is like the Kardashians or something like that. You know, like, those are the people that people would consider royalty in the U.S. You know, or like the Trump family, who is like, you know, they're in the White House now. Like, they would,
I will.
of course, love that.
I will totally marry into the Kardashians if I can have Kendall.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a little different. It's a little different here in the U.S. Like in the U.K., they tend to be a little bit more like, I don't want to say snobbish, but you know, they're a little bit more prudish about things like that. You know, like there's a little bit more of a legacy there. Like the United States legacy is a little bit sullied at this point. You know, we don't have a lot of shame here.
Yeah.
We've done some things, you know. Not that they have it in the UK too, but I'm just saying, like, it's a different culture. It's totally different.
Yeah, our president's on Twitter every night complaining about Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. So, all right, Joe.
People would probably like us. Over there, not so much.
Joe, I'm gonna be needing something right now. I need that baton. Where's my baton, Joe?
I think he's hiding it right now.
I think he ran off with my baton. Piece of crap. You don't run
Well,
off
I guess
with
we're gonna have to go get it.
Well, I'm looking around for the baton. I can't seem to find it. Where's my baton?
You didn't have me the baton to start with, so you still have the baton.
You
I will.
just, like, you got the baton. It just like landed in your hand.
Okay, I will magically hand it back now. You magically handed it to me. It's a magic baton.
Paparazzi come and videotape my baton.
That's not the baton I was touching. No, don't pay me in that picture.
I don't like where this is going, guys.
Yeah, I don't like this. He brought it up. I don't know where he was going with that.
All right, guys. It's my week for the feature, and I went with a classic.
5
random questions.
I was wondering. Every time we say classic, it's between that or Who Would You Rather Blank that I go with classic.
I haven't done Who Would You Rather Blank in a long time. Should.
I think the last one to do it was like TF like a while ago. I seem to remember him doing it.
We kind of ran out of scenarios after a while with that. But who wants to go first?
Yeah, I think that one probably jumped the shark when one of the questions was like, who would you rather have pilot like a crashing airplane or something or whatever it was. Yeah, how about none of us? How about we leave a professional?
That's actually a pretty good one though. I mean, if you have to choose between the two of them. But when you're like choosing like who would you rather eat a hamburger with, then it gets kind of pointless. But all right, who wants to go first?
I went first for the I always go first for the monologue. So let TF go first.
Okay, let's do this.
All right. TF, question number 1. Your girlfriend and her family hyped up an amusement park for a year, and you can't wait to go when her and her family invite you along on their annual vacation there. The road trip there is a lot of fun, and everyone is super excited. Her uncle plays some songs on his guitar, and you all sing along and have a grand time before you finally get there and see that the amusement park has been closed down. This does not go over well as your girlfriend cries, her mom cries, her dad starts to cry, Her uncle is destroying his guitar in a fit of rage, and you know that this magical amusement park that will never be anything but a story to you. What do you do, and how do you react to this?
Honestly, like, my first reaction is I would just start laughing at this. Like, I know it'd be kind of sad, but, like, this must have been some amusement park if they're, like, destroying guitars over this and, like, crying over it. But, I mean,
That'd probably just make him angrier.
I probably would, but, like, how do you even react to that? Like, I would be like, guys, it's okay. Like, I mean, for me, like, the rest of it sounds more fun. Like, his trip there sounds kind of fun. Like,
well, it's like this beloved place that they've went to, like, all their lives.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I would be sad about it, obviously, but it's like, I have no connection to this. Like, for all I know, it never even existed. So, I mean, just
they're making it up. He's bashing a guitar because
the guy bashing a guitar would be so crazy. I'd just be kind of like, what's up with these people? Like,
wow.
You know. But I mean, obviously, it would be sad. But you know, just kind of like, well, you know, hey, I mean, we have each other. I mean, we can find other places, but like you can like find new places to go. Like, you can't really find like new family or new, like, you know, you can make new memories. I mean, the memories ultimately are about like the people you're there with. It's not about the place itself. Because if you just went alone, you know, what good is it? No matter how much you love it, they're not really memories because there's no one there to share it with. So,
true.
I mean, I've had it happen to me before. Like, we used to always go to the state fair, and then they closed that down. Like, it's part of life. You know?
Did you destroy a guitar?
I didn't have a guitar to destroy, but it was pretty depressing.
He would have if he had a guitar, but he didn't have one.
I knew it was going to happen, though. Like, I knew that when I went, it was going to be the last year. So,
how would you react to this scenario, Joe?
I feel like in some ways I'd be similar to TF because I think for me, because I've been like, there's so many amusement parks here in California that I would try and kind of comfort them and saying, like, you know, maybe we could, like TF kind of said, you could build like a new memory, a new legacy in one of those. You know, I try and like divert it to maybe trying something new and different and trying to, you know, make them feel a little bit better that maybe you know, you can make something different, or, you know, just try and find ways to kind of comfort them. Like maybe saying, oh, we could, you know, try a different amusement park in different states or something like that, you know, each year, make it a road trip. You know, just try and get their mind off of that. I think that'd be my first thing to do, because if that guy's bashing a guitar, he might be bashing me next, so.
Jeff
you never know.
Style.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, like, they walk up to the gate and it says closed, and then in a fit of rage, he just, like, grabs his guitar and, like, slams it against the fence and starts, like, beating it to death.
All right, question number 2, and it's your turn to go first, Joe.
All right.
You haven't eaten in days and have no access to food until a chef offers to cook you any dish that you'd like. But for you, it must have ketchup in it. And for you, TF, it must have onions in it. What do you have them make? So this is basically like creating the best scenario possible for something that you don't enjoy.
I think I've got an idea. Wow. I don't know. It's a risky idea. See, my thought was, I'll say pizza because I can eat pizza, but what if eating that destroys pizza for me forever? So.
Pizza with ketchup would be gross for me, and I love ketchup, so yeah.
But would you really notice the difference, though? Like,
that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe you could trick your mind into thinking, like, oh, well, it's not ketchup. I mean, you would still smell it. I'd probably have to eat it, like, not smelling anything, but I could probably trick myself into eating. So I think I would go with that, just because it's either that or maybe like spaghetti or something. I don't know how it tastes with spaghetti, but like something along those lines. I'd be kind of like, I could trick my mind into thinking it's something else. Because I think if I could like just close my nose and trick my mind into it, I could probably like tolerate it until afterwards, where I'd probably like smell it and throw up. But I think that's what I would go. That'd be my tactic.
What about you, TF? What are you gonna have with onions in it?
That's a tough one. Honestly, the only thing that I for some reason don't really care about the onions on is like a White Castle burger. But anything where you're like cooking it, like really cooking it, is okay for me. Like, let's say it was chili or something like that. I'll probably be able to tolerate it.
For some reason. I never liked onions, but I always like onion rings.
Not a liver onions fan, TF.
I don't think I've ever had that. I do remember that Doug episode, though.
That's what I was thinking of. I was just like thinking of, because you say onions, I'm thinking like liver and onions.
Yeah, I hate onions though. But like,
I'm not a fan of them either. I'm not a fan
probably
of
something
anything.
like that, like a soup or something like that, like where it's really cooked down and it's so intermingled with all the other flavors that you don't really notice it. Like I still will notice it. I'll still notice it, but I mean that's the only food that I can really think of that's like super, super offensive to me is onions.
All right, question number 3, and I have separate questions for each of you, and I'm going to do you first here, TF.
Okay.
All right. You find yourself in a downtime and broke with everyone trying to help and give you what you can, except for Joe, who you just assume is also not doing well, until suddenly one day you find out he actually recently came into a ton of money, and you see him riding around town in a big Cadillac with women in the back wearing a suit made out of solid gold. How do you react?
I mean, I'd probably be kind of upset, but I mean, it's like, you don't have to give me something, like, I realize I'm down and out, but like, you're not obligated to do it. I mean, even if I feel that way, it's kind of like, well, I mean, it'd be nice, but I can't really, like, tell you, like, dude, give me money just because you have it. Because that's what everyone's going to do to you. Like, if you come into money, like, especially if you're kind of, like, coming from nothing, the first thing anyone's going to ask from you is like, oh, hey, can I be a part of this? Can you're going to help me out? Like, what are you going to buy me? And it's like, if you give it to one person, you have to give it to everybody pretty much. Because then they're going to say, well, oh, why'd you give it to them? Or why'd you give it to them?
It'd be kind of crummy if he's riding around in a gold suit while you're, like, struggling big time.
Oh, yeah. But at the same time,
I know how you feel, man.
I know how that is, though. Because, like, if you get money, everyone else is going to suddenly expect you to, help them out. And then you help one person out, you have to help everybody out. Because then they're going to be like, well, why'd you give them money? Why'd you do this for them? Why'd you buy them a car? Why don't I want it? Then it's just going to get ugly. So, I mean, obviously it sucks, but, like, it is what it is.
All right, Joe, I'm going to ask you your question in a second. But first, I want to know, how would you react to that opposite scenario?
It's an interesting question. I feel like, I think I'd be mad in a sense just because the idea of him doing this and kind of, like, if he knows purposely, like, he's kind of doing it, then I get a little bit mad. But, like, kind of like he said, you can't really blame the other person because it's like their money, what they do with it. And it's like, in a sense, too, I got all these other people helping me, so it's not like no one's helping me. So I'm kind of not like, probably wouldn't be as big of a deal. Like, if he was the only one I had and he was doing that, then maybe it'd be a little bit different.
All right, Joe, here's yours. Joe, you find yourself in a situation where you're about to die and TF is there, but instead of looking concerned, you look over and see TF laughing like the Joker. What is going through your mind?
I would wonder if TF's in on this somehow. Like, maybe he arranged this. I don't know why, but maybe he's arranging my death. I don't know, TF. That'd make you pretty sketchy. I think you'd agree if it was the other way around. If you're laughing like the Joker, something sketchy there.
Yeah, that would be concerning.
I would also probably like legitimately wonder if it was like me, like I'm going to like hysteria or something. Like this is like my mind hallucinating this or something. Kind of like one of those TV shows where like things get more over the top, even though like it's not happening.
How would you react in the opposite scenario, TF?
I think I'm going to need you to go over this again exactly because like this seems just kind of weird.
You're about to die, and you look over at Joe, and instead of him looking concerned, he's laughing, like grinning like the Joker.
I mean, I would be weirded out by that. I might have to think maybe it was just some kind of weird reaction to like a stressful, like sad moment because I know sometimes you can react kind of weird in moments like that. But
yeah, maybe I lost my mind and I just
I'll be like, something funny, like.
All right, question number 4, and it's your turn to go first, Joe. Would you wear underwear made out of cooked steak for a week to get a date with anyone you want?
Okay, this is a follow-up question. Since you said cooked steak, is this like, temperature where it's uncomfortable or temperature where it's just kind of normal?
We'll say it's like well done. And it's the same pair of underwear, so you have to wear the same pair of underwear of steak for the whole week.
Well, see,
it probably will start to stink at some point.
I mean, it's a week. I mean, for a date with anyone you want, I do it. I mean, there's drawbacks to it, obviously, but I could probably make it a week like that.
See, the key here is that you do most of the stuff without it. Like, you do stuff where you have to not have it on, you know?
Well, you have to wear it, period. You can't just, like, take it off. You have to wear it.
Okay, here's a follow-up question.
So even if you're like...
What if you're, like, taking a shower? Like, do you have to wear it then, too?
You can take it off when you take a shower or go to the bathroom, but that's
I figure go to the bathroom, but...
But you have to leave it on if you were, like, using other meat.
And another question. Am I wearing this? Am I wearing other clothes, too? Or is it just, like, these underwear that I walk around with?
This is like you can wear other clothes, but like there's no other.
See, that's not as bad then. Like if I had to walk around public with like snake underwear, then I'd question myself a little. Then I question if I'd still do it otherwise.
I mean, in some places it might be a fashion statement, you know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? Like you do that for that, and it's like you have to work out there.
Do something like that. Like
Beat dress, yeah.
Beat dress, yeah. I'm just picturing now, like you do this for that reason, and then like. This catches on and people think it's like a fashion statement and like all of a sudden you're responsible for this when you're just wearing it for that.
Would you do it, TF?
Now, how long would I have to keep that on?
A week.
A week.
And you got to keep in mind, if it's like a hot day, like if it's like a hot week in the summer and you're wearing this all week, that's going to get like pretty gross by the end.
Oh, what if you walk by like a bunch of dogs or something like that? They're probably going to attack you. Start, like,
that's a good point.
No?
I didn't even think of that.
You're going to get flies hanging around.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, but think about that. You're probably going to get like a weird infection too or something, you know?
Is it worth it?
You're going to have like maggots crawling up your stuff, you know?
Ew.
So I'm going to say no, because I mean, that's a week. I mean, you're going to be like in serious trouble. Like you could die or something.
You make some strong points, but I'm with Joe. I'd do it. I'd wear the steak underwear for a week.
I'm not going to lie. I'd think about it, but you got to think about this. A week is a long time. Like after the first 3 days, you're going to start thinking it's about as bad as it gets. Then by like day 4 or 5, that stuff's going to start rotting. And then, like you're going to smell like a dead cow by that time. At that point, you're going to smell like a dead animal.
I would probably just minimize ever going out in public, and I would just deal with it in my house.
Sit still for a week, not do anything.
Yeah, but you're going to have to deal with that smell though. Like you're going to be like vomiting and stuff when you smell that.
Dude, if I get a date with anyone I want, I don't care. I'll deal with it.
Are they going to deal with it?
Well, you'll be done by then.
Yeah, I'll be done by then. I can go.
See, if he said like the end of the week, like the last day, then then it would be.
That changes things. That's why I was asking about it. You know,
okay, so he thought you had to wear that.
You can go like wash off the disgusting meatness and stuff, and then go on your date.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like a challenge. I meant like you would be doing that, but only for like a week, and it's like you would have to wear that during the process. And I was like, that's pretty much like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
like, I'm not doing that. I mean, I might do it.
That's why he was mentioning it as C's, because he was thinking about doing something naughty there too.
No, but it's still going to be there.
I'm kidding.
Now the other person might get something at that point, but
I don't think anyone's getting a second date if they were like show up to a date with like steak underwear. All right. Question number 5, and it's your turn to go first again, TF. In the future, you have a 9-year-old son, and you're at a park with a friend of yours and his son. Things seem to be going well until suddenly you look over and see that the other guy's son is attacking yours. But your friend just laughs and thinks it's funny and harmless roughhousing, even though you can tell your son is getting hit pretty bad. You take matters into your own hands and go over to stop this, only for the kid to put you in a submission that you have a great difficulty getting out of. Do you just wait until you lose consciousness, or the other dad steps in, or do you go into full-out fight mode and do what you have to do to get out of this?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, if I'm about to pass out, I'm probably flinging the kid off. In all honesty, like, because like at that point it's going to be like survival mode. Survival mode is kind of kicking in.
That's exactly the kind of answer I wanted to hear.
In all honesty, like I mean, I think I'd play it as it happened. Like I'd just see how it was going. But like, if I was like say like if it was clear that I was like he was like hurting or harming me in some way, I'd be like, okay, like enough, because I realize it's not my kid, but I'm a firm believer that, I don't believe in, like, beating your kids or anything like that. But if they do something wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong in, like, sometimes you need to slap someone. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're harming another person, it's probably a time where you probably are gonna, like,
Well, you're defending yourself. I mean, it would probably sound pretty funny to, like, the police if you have to tell them that you had to, like, fling this kid off because he had you stuck in a submission. But
yeah, but they're not even gonna believe that, though, because that's the problem. That's the only reason why I wouldn't do it. Because I feel like if you're doing something like that, you probably know what you're doing. Like, you're probably asking to get, like, smacked. So that's what you're probably doing. So
I feel like this story, like, not exactly the same scenario, but I feel like this was like a news story where, like, this, I don't know, I don't remember who it was, but I remember, like, this rapper was, like, going around, like, this old, like, kind of washed up rapper was going around, like, fighting middle school kids or something, or, like, picking fights with them, and they were like beating him up, like, the rapper, like, he was beating up these kids. I don't remember his name. I just remember, like, hearing about this in the news and, like, being, like, bewildered by this, but as it is, it kind of reminded me of a little bit. But in terms of this situation, I think I probably would just let them kind of tap me out, because there's no real way you can win with that. Because if you even, like, fling them or fight back, you kind of look like, even not just to your friend, but even to people around, you're kind of like, look, he's beating up this kid or he's flinging him around. Like, it doesn't matter what happened. They're going to look at you that way. So at least if you're in the hospital and you're the one that got through it, then it's kind of like, you probably get some people that are like, oh, you got beat up by a kid, but then you'd have some people genuinely concerned. So maybe it would even scare the kid if he, like, choked you out and was, like, kind of scared that, like, you were dead or something. Like, maybe that'd be a life lesson.
Dad, I would hope.
Yeah, it's like, maybe it'd be a life lesson, like, this perverse and morbid as it sounds. Maybe they would think that would scare them for life.
But there are some pretty big kids out there, and, like, if you know how to do that, you probably know how strong you are. You probably know what you're doing.
Maybe. Wait. I'm going to title back here. Maybe that happens to me, and I let that happen. And TF is laughing like the Joker because he's thinking of the situation, and it's that funny to him.
I mean, that would be fun to see.
Maybe he's the other dad, and this is like his son.
Yeah, there you go. We tied it all back. We brought it all back.
That was 5 random questions, everybody.
Always fun. Always quite thought-provoking what comes out of our answers.
I gotta say, tonight actually turned out to be a really fun podcast. I kind of wish that first few minutes we did would have recorded, because I was digging that. But overall, things went well.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be missed too much with our casino talk. So I think we'll be okay.
You should have seen what it turned into when me and Joe were talking about it. Like, started talking about how I go to the casino, like, late at night sometimes, like, if I don't have the internet. Like, last time, like, the power was out for a couple days. And, like, how you see people, like, down and out in the casino, like, sleeping at the slot machines with, like, all the cigarette butts laying around them.
Maybe we'll do, like, a bonus, like, podcast one day talking just about casinos and our experiences in them. The casino edition.
Yeah. I could probably tell a few tales.
You see some weird stuff there.
Mine would be more fun tales, though. I've never really had, like, bad experiences in them, so.
All right, everyone. I can remember. All right, everyone. I'll thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next episode, whenever that is. Probably more often now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I appreciate everyone listening tonight, sticking with us. I know we had quite a hiatus here. We had a couple of hiatuses recently, but, we thought we had a good show tonight. I hope everyone else enjoyed it, too, and until next time, take care and have a good one.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Chill to the next episode. Don't you dare miss it.